Okay, here we have opened up the piano, and let's take a look down inside here. Al Capone, are you down there?
Come on now.
Come on out. No? No? Weber and...
Old piece of business.
Yeah, I wonder how old this is.
Focus in here and I'll... There you go.
Little dead key there.
Yeah, it's might be broken.
So cool.
Oh, yeah, it's a classic.
How old would you say it is?
Well, because of the fact that the plate goes all the way to the top, this is the plate.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably late teens, early 20s.
Okay.
There's a drawing artwork in here. Very common in these pianos of this era. Some of them are quite elaborate, which is amazing since nobody sees it.
Right.
But I've seen some that was in color and just fancy, elaborate scroll work on older ones than this.
Right, so this is probably about 90 years old?
Yeah, at least. Around the turn of the century, the plate stopped down here, and this was all wood showing. On the back side of this plate, this is what makes a piano heavy. This is cast iron, about 1/4 inch thick. Okay. And the tuning pins go through that to the pin block, which is like that on the back side of it, and then it's basically a piece of very hardwood laminate, like a plywood, if you will, about 3 inches thick, that's drilled to receive these tuning pins. Mm-hmm. And in the early days before the turn of the century, this stopped at about this point. And then they continued to play it all the way up, but they left an opening where the tuning pins sit. And that was the next phase in development. Then they put a full plate and drilled holes, and the next step was a full plate with bushed tuning pins, which this has, which makes me think this is late teens, early 20s.
Mm-hmm. Did that change affect the way the piano sounded, or was
well,
it a
it had
matter
to do with tuning stability.
Okay.
Because the tuning pin comes out of the wood like this, and then there's this, when it was open, you had what we call pin flow. And then they put the plate up, and it gave the wood, the back side of the wood, some stability, but still you would get pin flow. And then some guy came up, well, what if we, because that space is about 1/4 inch, as I say, and there's a tremendous amount of downforce and torque on each tuning pin. So they decided they could get more support down the length. I mean, it would be much more stable at that length than at that length. So somebody came up with the idea of putting a hardwood bushing in each slot, which you can see inside the plate there. So that gave it a much more, gave the tuning pin a much more stable position that allowed it to hold itself better.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you do your work.
Well, let's see what we got here. We know it's horrendously out of tune.
Yeah.
Got a few toys out there.
How do you tune it? Do you have an electronic tuner?
I have a piano-specific tuning device. First, I'm going to match the tuning pin head to the. It's pretty loose. I might end up using this one. So that's the tightest fit, but this one might be necessary because of the fact that these are deep set. These are going to be so.
Now these hammers seem to be in pretty good shape.
They don't look too bad. I haven't had a real good chance to.
Well, I'm going to go visit with Sandra.
All right, you do that. She's a very pretty girl. I'd like to go visit with her. Unfortunately, I have to go to work.